Oh yeah, oh yeah, oh yeah, oh yeah. Hey, happy Sunday, everybody. This is your boy Tavon Mason, and I'm going live. I got IG live over to my left, got Facebook live over here. I know normally I go on my YouTube live and then I share the link with everybody, but I wanted to do something a little different this morning, this Sunday morning, as we enter week 2 of the NFL and we wrap up college football over the weekend. It was a great college football weekend. I had a great weekend. I'm actually on a bye from my high school team, so I wanted to get up this morning and bring some sports wrap up. My good friend Miss McKinney Kendall. Good morning, good morning, good morning. Thank y'all for joining in this Sunday morning. So man, we had an eventful college football weekend. I sat there and watched football after I got in the house from hitting the gym. Yeah, 42, but still got to get it on. Shout out to my Uncle Bo. Me and him go back and forth with working out. He's still doing his thing, man. Love you, Uncle Bo. Everybody that's joining in on IG. But what can I start at? But first, I want to give a shout out. Yeah, and I'm gonna shout myself out, but my own sponsor, Tavon's beard butter. I use it for my beard. I actually put some on this morning. I didn't want to come on here looking crazy on the lives. So I got my Tavon's beard butter. You can find it on Etsy.com. I got 4 scents: lavender and tea tree oil scent, tangerine scent, cinnamon scent, sandalwood scent. Go follow my Instagram page at Tavon's Beard Butter. I have a Facebook page at Tavon's Beard Butter, Twitter page at Tavon's Beard Butter. But go check it out. Definitely is a good homemade, all natural that helped my beard grow. It was definitely looking a little bit crazy. Good morning, everybody. Good morning. Love you too, Uncle Bo. But let's get right into it, man. This was a wild college football weekend. I definitely like how the football season is playing off. You know, we definitely get schools that do have their, I guess you could say, their confident builder games to build up until they hit their core, hit their conference, hit their region to start hitting the road. But it was some great games yesterday. I start, Texas A&M holds off University of Miami. Miami was number 13. Haven't been that ranked high in years. So it definitely looked like UVA, definitely looked like Miami. Sorry, I'm trying to jump ahead to my Wahoo, but definitely looked like Miami is trying to get back to Miami Hurricanes. Went in there to Texas A&M, but Texas A&M held them off 17-9. Not a huge score, so Miami is definitely showing some glimpse. New coaching staff, new head coach, bringing in a different air in there, not trying to like doing away with the old Miami style, want everything kind of like choreographed. And for my coaches on here, shout out to my boy B.I. that's on here, head coach at Albemarle High School down in Charlottesville, and he definitely can understand what I mean by you want things a certain way. You don't want to get it too out of line. So I don't think Miami going to drop too far down from losing to Texas A&M 17-9. That was I guess a get back win for Texas A&M and Jimbo and them because they didn't look good last week, taking the L they took last week. Penn State, quiet, silent, but Penn State got out the gate. Penn State slaughtered Auburn, 41-12. But I know y'all saw that hit on their quarterback Clifford. Man, Jesus Christ. Pat Poe lit him up, made a fumble ball spit out. PSU was able to recover it, but Auburn couldn't do nothing with it. Auburn is definitely in a slump from where Auburn used to be, just like LSU have been. I know they're trying to get everything rolling with having a new quarterback. New coach at the helm, new quarterback, but definitely a new coach at the helm down there at LSU. But Auburn couldn't do nothing with PSU. PSU just routed them 41-12. That definitely hit gonna go viral. But what's better, a viral hit or a major win against a major SEC opponent? I think PSU would take that victory. Just on some short ones, Wake and Liberty, a nail biter. Wake was able to hold out Liberty 37-36 on that victory. We know Malik is with the Titans right now, so Liberty is still building on and still rolling. The one thing that I noticed, and I can be corrected, especially for my sports guys out there, when it comes to you making noise in college sports, you tend to continue to have a plethora or a nice little roll of recruits coming in. We all know that the remedy to losing is winning. When you win, especially in college, with it being recruiting zone, not like the NFL where you do draft, but you can still get people in free agent. Being a recruiting area, guys will gravitate to who's winning, who can get them out there, who can get them potentially in the NFL and get them to be seen, get them on television. And Liberty still has that traction, to go in there against Wake Forest, ACC team that looked good, the past few years, and lose by 1 point. Again, 37-36. I definitely got you. That's my guy, Mike Pat, LSU quarterback, looks solid against Mississippi State. Yeah, I love LSU quarterback, man. Even when they played Florida State, just that drive, that 99-yard drive that LSU quarterback was able to put together. No, me personally, I still wouldn't have played that underneath coverage like Florida State did against that young man, but they did. Was able to come away with a victory, to block a block extra point. But I like how LSU definitely looking for Kelly to get that thing together, man, and see what LSU can do, especially when they start getting into that SEC, start playing the Georgias and the Alabamas. South Florida gave Florida a run, held them off. Florida had to held them off 31-28. They beat South Florida, the Bulls, by 3 points. Florida's still trying to turn that corner as well. They've been kind of up and down, but been kind of on the downside. We know the Sparrow area. I take that back, so I'm kind of showing my age with that Coach Sparrow era when they just was running people, running. I know Florida want to get back to that top, especially in the SEC. Definitely a competitive conference that they play in with the Alabamas and the Georgia. Georgia definitely looked good yesterday against South Carolina, but I'm going to get to that. Next, Oregon. Oregon bounced back. They had no choice but to bounce back. That opening game against Georgia, Bo Nix didn't look good at all. It just seemed like University of Georgia has Bo Nix' number, and it seemed like Nix, though he can get away across the United States and avoid Georgia, and they get them on a kickoff classic, and it just looked bad. But Nix bounced back from a subpar game against UGA to beat number 12 BYU. So that's going to look good for Oregon. We got Tennessee versus Florida this upcoming weekend. Big game for the Vols. Yeah, I know the Vols are definitely trying to bounce back. I know they had some situations, off the field situations, that kind of poked at them a little bit. That's going to be definitely going to be good if Tennessee can get that game. Mike, thanks for that, my guy. But again, will this game that Oregon beat BYU, will this be that jump start for Bo Nix to get him where he wants to get at, far as reestablishing his career? Bo Nix had probably 1.5, 2 years of success, and then he just kind of tanked, kind of went down in the hole. I know he went in the transfer portal over to Oregon, and again, I just repeat, what a way to kick off with going against UGA, the defending national championship. Bo Trick said, "You got it." That's what I was saying there. Mike, I was sitting there watching that game, and I'm just like, golly, dude. And maybe you should have went to a different conference instead of, not even conference, but a team that wasn't going to see UGA. But maybe this can be that stepping stone for Bo Nix and the offensive coordinator. Again, like I said, Georgia 48-7 over South Carolina. And what I said, Bennett did Bennett stuff. Scored a touchdown on the ground, throwing it in the air. I definitely think their wide receivers got them moving. But man, I said it last week. That tight end number 0, man, that's like a cheat code. You know what I'm saying? That joint is crazy. Spencer Rattler. It just seemed no matter where Spencer Rattler goes at, he looks like Spencer Rattler. And I talked to my good friend Juwan yesterday, and I was saying that Spencer, the same stuff he's doing now, he looked the same way he did on QB1. If you go back, do a rewind and watch him on QB1, trying to force the ball in there, trying to make something happen. He tried to do that at Oklahoma, but gets an attitude when he gets benched or another quarterback comes in. So to me, you got to change your play. You know what I mean? Did the same thing against UGA. And we know you playing a caliber team like UGA, Alabama, you gotta have minimal mistakes. He threw for 2 picks, but one of those picks, man, he eyed down the receiver. It was an out route, and it was kind of like a double coverage or kind of like a bracket coverage underneath and over top. And he didn't even, he just stared him down and threw it straight to the guy. Came back with a second interception that I saw. And what will Coach Beamer do with Rattler down there in South Carolina? Is he going to stay with the young man, or will he go with another quarterback? And will Spencer Rattler jump back to the transfer portal? My man Mike said Spencer Rattler's being Spencer Rattler. I didn't think the change of scene would make him even better. That's the same way I felt, Mike. I was like, okay, new uniform, still the same colors, Oklahoma kind of, the same red kind of, and it's still him. You know what I mean? At some point, he got to get out his own way, calm down, just go and play football. I'm not sure. I'm not there in South Carolina, but I'm not sure if he's really paying attention to film and watching film, or watching himself, first of all, to dissect himself. But come on, man. As they say, Sunday countdown. Come on, man. But again, the Rattler of old, the Rattler, not of old, but the Rattler that we know, we come to see. I just said that, Mike. Good point. Mike said that Spencer doesn't read defenses consistently, and that's the same thing I said. Is he watching the film and really reading and really watching or dissecting or reading what he sees? Because when he get over the field, it doesn't roll over. So again, what will Coach Beamer do down there in South Carolina in order to change that narrative? OSU, Ohio State, 77-21 over Toledo, which should have been there. So I'm guessing Stroud is starting to get that leeway and starting to get his feet wet and starting to get that Ohio State moving. They lost a lot of pieces last year. We all know that they lost a lot of pieces last year. So we're gonna see what they do this year. Michigan, 59-0 over UConn. Coach got them rolling again. Will this be the year for Michigan? We don't know. It's still early in the year. Definitely should have been a huge win over UConn. Washington beat number 11 Michigan State. So Michigan State went in to Washington, and Washington just trounced them. I know the score was 39-28, but if you watch that game, and I watched that game all the way to the mid fourth quarter. Yeah, Michigan State was making a climb back, but Washington just looked totally different. That defense was flying around. Penix Jr., man, just putting the ball on the money to various receivers. Michigan State couldn't get it rolling for them to be number 11. Couldn't get it rolling. Again, another point. Me and my good friend Juwan, my brother Juwan, was talking about, did Mel Tucker get that money too early? I mean, I know we're in the age now of money being grown, money being thrown. Everybody get money. Everybody get money. Everybody get money. Michigan State had a solid season last year. I guess they was banking on that to give that extension. But did Coach Mel Tucker get that money too early before Michigan State really get a chance that he get a chance to prove himself? They showed during the game where that secondary had problems last year with coverage. Secondary had problems yesterday with coverage. One of the plays on the goal line probably was around like between the 5 and the 10-yard line. The corner, I don't know if he was in man coverage or he was in zone coverage. His hands was in man coverage. He put the jam on it, but his eyes was in the backfield. I know down where I'm coaching my secondary, if we in man, you look at your man. You do not look in the backfield as if it's zone. And he got caught grabbing the jersey, falling backwards. So I wasn't sure what coverage the guy was in. So again, it seemed like they're still having problems with their secondary. At Michigan State, they definitely got to bounce back before they hit that Big Ten run. But Washington is on a roll. The Huskies definitely moving. My man Mike again. Michigan proved us wrong with sticking with Jim Harbaugh. I think Jim Harbaugh might still have some juice in him. The coaches only can go as far as their players can go. So again, in college, we know that comes down to how are we recruiting? You know what I mean? What are you recruiting? Who you're recruiting? Are you getting the recruits of old, or all those recruits going other places because one, they know they're going to play right away, they can win. It might put them in a market where they can be seen by NFL recruits of that sort. So we definitely going to see how, like I said, how Michigan go Mike said, this is what I said about that guy at Michigan State going backwards. He was in that old shoot coverage. And we know what shoot means. You know, we keep it PG on a Sunday. That old sugar honey iced tea coverage. And I was sitting there like, what are you doing? You're on your heels. You got one hand jamming. You falling back and your eyes in the backfield. Just crazy to me. One team that's sparking heavy right now, and y'all can tell me if I'm wrong or not, but Appalachian State, they got game day at their school yesterday. They was playing Troy. They came off a huge game. Even though they lost, a huge game against UNC, which was like crazy. If y'all remember, that game came down to the wire and the quarterback just tripped up. UNC wound up winning. But Appalachian State been on a mission. Yesterday they had that last minute Hail Mary against Troy. Tip, what my man Nelly said, I need a tip drill. I need a tip drill. Huge tip for a touchdown. Patted back. Receiver caught the ball. They went in for a touchdown. Fans went crazy. That's how you're supposed to do it when you got game day going on. So definitely salute to Appalachian State, you know, putting their names on the map, especially with that win yesterday. And I'm gonna finish off with UVA, my team. You know, I gotta be a little biased, but my team, UVA, you know, they skated past Old Dominion yesterday. Last year they lost to ODU, but they skated past with a game-winning field goal, 16-14. Definitely a slow start for UVA, just like last week against Illinois and their first game against Richmond. Slow start, had some huge drops from Wicks, just all around. It just didn't look they were on the same page. ODU was getting out strong. Had some pops, you know, my man Hawks, Ball Hawk Show, Maul Hawk, and we went to UVA together. Reminded me they had 89 yards rushing. They had a big gash for 20. They had one for 11. So I would mark that as a big run because 11 yards, that's a first down. That's a big yards, big run. But ODU had a huge right before the half touchdown, you know, to that receiver. It's just the coverage. Again, just even like the commentator said, playing against those, when you match up a receiver against linebacker, especially when you don't got linebackers that can cover that well, you're going to have that issue where they can't cover. It's plain and simple. So ODU had two big touchdown passes, one to their big tight end, one to their receiver before the half. UVA did capitalize, were able to capitalize off a mishandled punt return by ODU, was able to drive down and seal the game with a 16-14 victory against ODU. Definitely looking forward to UVA definitely getting it together. I know Coach Elliott said that at halftime they need to learn how to win and learn how to roll things over from practice to the game field. I know us as coaches, even when we go watch practice, my commentators know I see Mike Patton always on the road down there with the Tennessee Titans, and you can see it in practice. No, what you do in practice, you know, Coach Elliott said he want that to roll over to the game. UVA 2-1 right now. They got a short week. They're going this Friday. They play Syracuse, who came off a huge game against Purdue. You know, they was going back and forth. So that's going to be a big game. And we have some former coaches from UVA who coach at Syracuse that will be on the sidelines against UVA. So definitely looking forward to my Wahoos getting it together to get this thing rolling, Coach Elliott to get this thing rolling. Again, I'm still going to harp on it a little bit. We can get that run game down. We can stop that run game because we're not doing bad in the passing game with our secondary. We definitely have to watch passing downs. Maybe we can get a extra DB in when we do have those passing downs, instead of having our linebacker, having our base and having our linebackers and they have to cover these receivers in the slots. If not, you know, coaches, and that's what they get paid to do, they're going to start seeing, okay, we have this matchup. If we can get to the ball in a hurry and not allow the defense to set up, we can have that one-on-one match. The receivers definitely have to get on that game with dropping the ball. I didn't see Kemp out there yesterday. I definitely would love to see. He had over 100 yards receiving. I definitely love to see Thompson back getting to the fold. Hold on one second, y'all. Definitely love to see Keaton Thompson get into into the mix even more. I know Brennan Armstrong was definitely trying to get it to Wicks a lot. You know, you got them two large receivers, huge receivers on the UVA team, and you add Keaton Thompson, who came in as a quarterback, switched over to receiver, or I like to say utility guy, like a Swiss Army knife, utility guy that can do a lot more than just catch the ball. The dude can run the ball on jets and everything. So that was major. And Mike, you're right. Yeah, Appalachian State players need to play the lottery because it just been in their favor each week. Not only, like I said, again, you go back to that loss to UNC. I mean, they were going back and forth. You know what I mean? So they got that thing rolling down there. So I'm gonna switch over. We're gonna switch gears before I close this thing out. We're gonna go to week 2 in the NFL. All right. So we got the Bucks versus the Saints. Right. So we got Tom Brady, Mr. Can't Quit, still rolling, still throwing it, coming off a huge victory against the Cowboys, going down to New Orleans against the Saints. I know it was a little rough last year with the Saints. So can he get his first win against the Saints? The Saints won't have Alvin Kamara, which is a definitely pivotal factor. Jameis Winston was looking good last week in their comeback win over the Falcons. He's ailing with a back issue, but Alvin Kamara is out right now. Tampa Bay is struggling right now too. They have a lot of injuries. Julio Jones questionable with a knee. You know, the same story we seeing with Julio. I love Julio to death. But is it time for him to hang it up? You know what I mean? I'm not Julio. We not Julio. He knows what Julio want. But again, you know, the injuries. Mike Evans is coming back. Leonard Fournette. They say it's questionable hamstring, but I think he'll be out there. So we're definitely going to see what Tampa Tom and the Buccaneers can do down there in New Orleans. We got the Pats versus the Steelers. I put that as my big matchup. Only reason I got it as a big matchup because you know, the Dolphins, the Patriots lost to Miami, down to Miami. So we got Jones going up to Pittsburgh to play up there in Pittsburgh against the Steelers, which is a crazy environment. I actually went up there for a Ravens versus Pittsburgh game. That definitely is a crazy atmosphere to be in. I actually got to play in the stadium as well, the preseason game when I played with New York Jets. Definitely a good environment to play in, just that competitiveness and that spirit from the fans. But they won't have TJ torn pec muscle, so he's out. So that might give Jones a little time to be able to get that ball off. I'm not sure if he's out. I know I heard this morning that Julio is questionable with a knee. Yeah, he did have a great game week 1 against the Cowboys. So hopefully he will play. You know, when you get the reports, it might say, you know, questionable, but I think he'll wind up playing. Definitely want him to play because we know down there with the Titans, he was on and off. Couldn't get started. Not really couldn't get started. Didn't get started at all because of injuries. You know, which is coming on the back end, and which is going to happen. You know what I mean, when you play this game, and with him being such a huge target. They're not going to tackle him up high. So what do? You take a guy like him, his legs out. So just going through your normal wear and tear. But hopefully he can bounce back and play today against the Saints. Again, we got the Bengals versus the Cowboys. No Dak Prescott. You know, he hurt his finger, broke his finger, or whatever it may be. But he's out right now. He's out right now this week or for a few weeks, really, against for the Cowboys. So, you know, we go back, you know, to, you know, and salute to all my Cowboy faithful. This is our year. It never gets no clearer, no better for the Cowboys. At some point, Amari Cooper went to the Cowboys. Went to the Browns. Browns got that victory against the Panthers. So they went with they got a younger receiving core. The question was, how would Elliott be this year? Would he come off? Will he come off and be the Elliott of old with running the ball and Dak Prescott go out there and injure himself? So how would it be? Micah Pearson is playing lights out. We saw how he was getting rushes in against Tampa Bay and just causing disruption. But again, you know, the Cowboys are going to be on a stage of what's going to happen next, or what's to come for the Cowboys, which happens every year. Titans versus the Bills. I have them as a big matchup. I just think this will be a good game with Buffalo, especially with Allen and the crew coming off a huge victory against the defending Super Bowl. I don't want to say former, but defending Super Bowl champs, the Rams, and just the way they played. Josh is playing with like a different type of, I guess you could say, moxie or attitude. You saw some of the plays when he kind of like halfway ran over and got tackled by Jalen Ramsey, and my man just did a whole smear session on Jalen Ramsey's face mask. But definitely looking forward to see how they come out the gate. I don't know if y'all saw those little subliminal hints by Von Miller to OBJ, trying to get OBJ over to Buffalo. Man, you add OBJ, I know he's coming off a second knee surgery, OBJ, Gabe Davis, and Diggs out there along the tight end core, running back crew they got, and Josh Allen. That's crazy. You know what I mean? So definitely looking forward to seeing how that game come out, see how Josh Allen come out after having that opening game, and then finish off, and not because I'm from Baltimore, from B-more, but that Dolphins versus Ravens game. So that's like a super, super huge game in my eyes, because we saw how the Dolphins did the Ravens last year, held them to a low score last year. I think it was 13 points to be exact. Let me hold up. Let me definitely find out. Actually held them to 10 points. They beat them 22-10. We saw in the offseason, the Dolphins added some weapons for Tua, adding Tyreek Hill to kind of complement Waddle. And definitely looking forward to seeing that game. They're playing in Baltimore, so Dolphins on the road come to Baltimore to play against that defense. The Ravens defense is still trying to come together. I know Marcus Peters has been practicing. Definitely be a good addition to have back. Stevens isn't playing bad, but I think he's still learning how to play Ravens football, because we know Ravens football, blitz, pressure, man on the back end. And at some point, Stevens was getting beat, by the Jets, my former team, the Jets wide receivers. So definitely having a Marcus Peters back and definitely getting that defense to roll. I do know I gave a little leeway because a lot of those guys for the Ravens didn't play any of the preseason games. No JK today. Tavon's still not playing. So if Tavon's not playing, I doubt that Marcus Peters is going to play. Think straight for that joint. That Peters going to play yet. So they probably just playing it safe. NFL is a long year, so they got time to make that back up. As long as they win in their division, beat out their division. Not saying they should lose the rest of the game, but as long as they win out their division, that'll be great. But again, the Dolphins held them to 10 points. But, we're going into week 2 where some teams, their starters are just starting to gel because they didn't play any preseason. And with the new rules of not being able to really hit too often during the practice week, sometimes their first contact is when they play these regular season games. So definitely looking forward to seeing how the Ravens progress and how all these teams progress going through the weeks. It's like the Buffalo Bills ain't need anything. Going back to the Buffalo Bills. So definitely looking forward to that Dolphins versus Ravens game in the next few hours to see how Waddle and Tyreek Hill play, and to see how that Ravens secondary match up against that Miami offense. I know Tua's on that bubble. Tua haven't looked good in years, even dating back to that kind of like his last year at Alabama after the injury. He's injury prone as well, but definitely looking to see how that game go today. So I'm gonna end off kind of like how Charlamagne the God do Donkey of the Week. I'm doing my Dummy of the Week, and my Dummy of the Week goes to former quarterback with the Green Bay Packers, Minnesota Vikings, Atlanta Falcons, Brett Favre. So if y'all haven't noticed or haven't seen, Brett Favre got pulled up along with the governor with a $6 million welfare scheme to build a volleyball stadium at Southern Miss, where his daughter played volleyball, where he played football. at before going to the NFL, along with the Mississippi governor. That's not the only thing. No, it's been over, I think, over $74 million. $74 million that was used inappropriate in Mississippi during this whole welfare thing and just in general. So my dummy of the week goes to Brett Favre, a misappropriate use of welfare funds. So I got a special guest that popped in on my IG feed. I got my guy, my brother, my partner, Joel Gamble. But before he talked, let me run down his background. West Baltimore boy, born and raised, went to Carver High School, went to Shippensburg, right, Joe? Shippensburg, no scholarship, and still made it to 3 NFL teams, the Browns, the Titans, and the Eagles. Huge community guy. We worked together in a community in Baltimore. He coached for a short period of time, free camps. We joined together to do a comic book, black superhero comic book called Justice Duo. Hey, Joe, appreciate you hopping in on this live with me, man. I just did my dummy of the week, and before we skate back to sports, just get your insight, because I looked at a video with what's my guy on ESPN, Stephen A, and he said it right. You know what I mean? We haven't seen anybody really talk about how what Brett Favre did. I've seen a few posts of how Mike Vick was all smeared through the news and everything, but Hall of Famer, Super Bowl winning Brett Favre, it just kind of like splattered and screamed and went away. So what are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, man, I mean, I've seen a couple of different memes, even Kaepernick. I've seen one particular meme where Colin Kaepernick and Brett Favre were in the same picture, and it's like this guy took a knee, and then this guy stole millions of dollars from folks that needed it. So you think about the disparities and the racial divide that's very prevalent in today's society, and you just think about, hey man, how Kaepernick was treated because he's standing up for the rights of black people, and how Brett Favre is white privilege is very real.
Yeah.
Not about how hard you work or anything like that. About that privilege that you had when you're of another color. Of a persuasion that folks just don't villainize you like Brett Favre has gotten long. We've known about this story for some time now.
Yeah.
I think about a while back, and it kind of got swept under the rug, like you said. He came out and he even gave some money back. I think he gave some money back that he had taken, and now we're finding out that it's more. And so, it's just one of those things where just we gotta keep calling it out when we see it, and we know what it is. We're held to a higher standard, and these folks can get away with whatever they want, man. Hey, I hopped on, man. I wanted to hear your thoughts about the Ravens and the Miami Dolphins for today's game, man. What do you think? How do you think Tua's going to look? How do you think Lamar Jackson looked last week, and what do you think is going to change for this week?
Yeah, and it's funny that you hopped in, because I just wrapped up with the Ravens and gave my spiel about that. But I definitely want to talk my hometown team. And again, Facebook Live, on Instagram Live, I got my boy Joel Gamble, former NFL tight end, West Baltimore's own, and we just talked about my dummy of the week, Brett Favre, and what he's been doing, and how privilege does play a role when it comes to things happening in our communities across the United States, and some things get pushed to the side, and some things get a bigger billboard than others. But like Joel said, we definitely got to keep putting it out there, and holding people accountable. And again, my thoughts on the Ravens Dolphins game are definitely going to be interesting. I'm definitely looking forward to seeing them. Definitely going to go somewhere, being down here in Georgia. They don't play our Ravens. You got to sit and watch the Falcons. No knock to my Falcon fans out here, but I got to watch the Falcons play. But yeah, it's definitely be interesting to see. I know the Dolphins came out off of what would be to them a big win against the Patriots, but it's not the Patriots of old. Adding Tyreek Hill with Waddle. I'm definitely looking forward to seeing how Tua do this year, because now he has tools, he has weapons, he has O-line. How he's going to play? Are there going to still be excuses for him? Or he don't have this, he don't have that. He has a new coach, blah, blah, blah. And I'm definitely looking forward to seeing how that secondary hold up against the Waddle and Tyreek Hill. I mean, you got both of those guys moving like that. And our secondary is still rebuilding. I know Marcus Peters are still trying to get back on the field. The young boy, big corner and Stevens, but he had some issues last week with that slot receiver with the Jets. So if you have problems with the guy from the Jets, and you got Waddle and you got Tyreek Hill, man, they're going to have Stevens skating back there, man. But I think Lamar going to come out firing. I just think, just looking at it, and, me and you went through a different area. We hit during preseason camp. You know what I mean? We actually, before pads, they made that change in the kind of like I say, dumb it down to football, where they don't really get contact until they play in a game. And we know Lamar and a lot of those guys didn't play this preseason. So last week was kind of like their first time of getting any contact or real contact. So, and he still looked good. I mean, the dude's still out there dropping down. He still can't get the respect. Instead of talking about his game, they talking about him not having an agent. I saw Jalen Rose talk about, everybody's talking about he don't got an agent, he got an agent. But who else knows what their wealth, their worth, and their value is but the guy playing the game?
Who else is better to serve you than yourself?
Yeah.
A lot of people don't know. I didn't have an agent when I first signed into the league.
Yeah.
I didn't want to put my future in another man's hands.
Exactly.
Who he was going to call, and he was going to call from. I said to myself, I'm gonna call teams myself.
Yeah.
I'm gonna get up to these teams and sit down and film out. And so, I appreciate Mark for representing himself.
Yeah.
I mean, I couldn't sit in those rooms, negotiating a contract, because I didn't have to negotiate a contract.
Right. Yeah, me either.
And I had to get, my agent I had to sign off with the agent so they can look over my contract. But for Lamar, I mean, I can only imagine what he's hearing. Like, imagine Steve Bisciotti and the Ravens telling Lamar, like, hey, we don't want to pay you this much guarantee because we don't know if you're going to stay healthy, or after last season, you don't put your body on the line with no weapons around you.
Right.
And you guys, I don't have a receiver. He didn't have a receiver last year to throw to. They drafted, I'm going to call him Marquise because his mama named him Marquise.
Right.
They drafted Marquise Brown, and Marquise couldn't catch a cold butt naked in Alaska, bro.
Yeah.
Like he couldn't run a route.
Right.
And had his speed, and honestly, like historically, the Ravens have always drafted receivers that with their speed.
Yeah.
But they always lack in their hands and catching ability, and so that's what I always thought about Marquise Brown. Like, he has the speed, but I never saw him run a route like a Stephon Diggs or Devon Adams.
Yeah.
He never routing up a DB.
Right.
And so I always thought that at least last year that Bateman was going to be their number one option.
Yeah.
This season, but it was actually interesting to see that Devin Duvernay stepped up last week and put 2 tugs for them.
Yeah.
And and he was like the number one. I think he had him and Bateman. I think Bateman still had more targets, but Duvernay had more touchdowns. So it's interesting to see that. We know that Mark Andrews is solid.
Yeah.
At tight end position, but knowing how much Lamar Jackson means to the Ravens offense,
right,
and knowing how
Yeah.
You know, I mean, you can't throw to yourself.
Right.
And you just think about Lamar is able to, he's a dual threat.
Yeah.
He can run. And he's probably one of the only players, you know, I root for my Browns.
Yeah.
I root for my team when they go to the Ravens. But Lamar has made me a Ravens fan. But I think about those times when I was rooting for the Browns and Lamar Jackson is on a third and 5 or on a 4th and 2.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh, man. What are you going to do?
Yeah.
Like, if the DBs come down, he's going to toss it over to Andrews
Right.
or at the time. And so, like, that's how Marquise Brown got his yards.
Oh, yeah.
Being about it.
Yeah. Yeah,
and
and
I mean,
the one name you said that stuck out to me, and I would post here and there on Twitter last year about him. I wanted Duvernay to have more touches. I thought that even watching him back in college a little bit, watching some of his highlights, he had that promise. But like you said, when you get in the NFL and you draft a certain guy high, you're going to give that guy targets. Like you said with Bateman, and Bateman had a drop last week, which was an easy, I think it was a post or a dig. Well, Duvernay, he came up with the big play, and Trey said something earlier. Trey on Instagram said, you know, that zero coverage. I hope not. I hope the Ravens don't go zero against the Dolphins. I hope not. They're gonna look like that. They're gonna look like that year when Lamar got that first full start against the Dolphins. He did that bombs over Baghdad with like you said, what we call him, West Baltimore Brown. He caught that long touchdown. They're gonna look like that, boy. I hope we don't go zero. I'm definitely because last year I was definitely critical of Patrick Queen being an undersized Mike back, especially in our division, having the Browns, having the Steelers, having the Ravens, where normally our linebackers are your mid 200s to high 200s, because you got to take on guards, you got to take on tackles, and you got to take on those stud running backs. I think Patrick Queen, and I'm gonna ask you too, I think he's coming around with covering. I know last year was hard for him covering; it just wasn't his thing of covering. And I'll bounce back and forth, but like you said, with the wide receiver core, you know, Lamar didn't have a wide receiver. His wide receiver core was either the short routes to Brown, or you know, them bomb plays to Brown, or Andrews. But teams are starting to sit on Andrews because they know anytime that your tight end have more receiving yards than your receivers, you know, it's easy, because the Buffalo Bills did it in that playoff game against Jackson and them, where they just rushed like 3 and just dropped back, brought in a extra DB against it. And like, we just gonna play our holes, and you try to fit it in, and Josh Allen and wind up beating them.
That's the way to stop the Ravens.
Yeah.
Bring it extra DB in the box.
Yeah.
And a spiral Lamar.
Yeah.
Sit in that zone, and you know, and the receivers can't get open. And Andrews is pretty good at finding holes.
Yeah. Yeah.
But Andrews is also good at getting open when Lamar starts to scramble.
Yeah, he does.
That the Ravens don't have that ability yet.
Yeah.
To bounce and get open without like Lamar scrambling and all. So,
yeah. And like you said, just real quick, Trey also said it was good to see the receivers get some touchdown catches last week. Definitely looking forward to seeing them gel even more. So I throw it back, and Coach Reggie Ellis on Facebook, and this was huge. You know, what do you think about us losing Kyle, our hometown boy, Kyle Fuller, with his knee in the end zone?
This week, man.
Yeah.
I worked down at Harvard East.
Yeah.
Across 4 seasons.
Right.
You know, and it's the first time I've seen him in years. You know,
Yeah.
We were in the league around the time that Kyle was coming up out of Mount
St. Joe. Yep.
Actually, he was at BC.
Yeah.
At Virginia Tech, when I was still in the league, and
Yeah.
so Oakland, you know, was super excited when he, you know, got the opportunity to play for the Ravens.
Yeah, me too.
And when I briefly chatted with him because he was in traffic when he called me over to the car, but he said he was good, man. He said, you know, he's getting right and everything. So I look forward to seeing him. I mean, he's been a pro cornerback
Oh yeah.
And we know, like personally,
Yep.
I've run routes against him myself personally, and I
Right.
know like the skill set that he possesses with covering.
Yeah. Yeah. Always been humble too. Always been humble, quiet, play with his game. And a lot of people might not know, for everybody, that's watching Joe, that he was a first round pick, a high first round pick with the Chicago Bears, and came out the gate playing good. And like you said, he was a complete animal at Virginia Tech, and the way they use him, kind of how the Steelers use Palomalo. When I would watch their games to catch up with him, Kendall, and Corey, but the way Kyle played, it was just like crazy, man. It like you could tell a difference between all of the brothers, that he had like a different air about him. So again, we lose another major piece in the secondary with the Ravens, but just like all across the board. So I ask you this I'm gonna ask you two questions. The first one: what are your views and thoughts of Patrick Queen as our Mike backer and as he's progressed through his year? And the second question: how do you feel about, because even though they don't technically say it, they kind of do it with how we're set up in football. And I understand, because of gladiator sport, as far as load management. How do you feel about the load management in the NFL, where our star guys, like you said, Al Lamar Jacksons, Al Kyle Fullers, Julio Jones and them, they're not playing in the preseason, but they don't get to see anything until they play the first game. And like I was reading off earlier, I was watching ESPN, they said Julio Jones questionable with knee, Leonard Fournette questionable with hamstring. Mike Evans is coming back this week, you know what I mean? But then, what's the other guy that they had, the big time receiver they had? He's out this week. Godwin, yeah. Godwin, he's out this week. So how do you, first, your thoughts on Patrick Queen, and second, the kind of like quote unquote load management in the NFL?
And when it comes to Patrick Queen, man, for me, when I think about a Mike backer, I think about, obviously, I'm always going to think about Ray Lewis when it comes to the linebacker position, because being from Baltimore, going up and watching Ray hold down that position for so long,
right?
I just how he did it, and he didn't really pick covering ties.
Yeah.
When I think about Ray Lewis, I don't think about he's going to cover a tight end, or he's going to cover, that's just not something I think about. And so when I look at Patrick Queen, when he came in his progression, I know he's a speedster. He has way more speed than Ray Lewis, but consistency is the key for him.
Yeah.
A hole, I'd like to see him, make more consistent tackles in the holes.
Right.
Running game. And then, that's what I look for from him. Personally, I just would like to see him more consistent with making solid tackles in the running game, and not allowing, guys to get past them or break tackles. When I think about the middle linebacker. And now, in coverage, obviously he's a speedster. He has more speed than Ray brought to the position. So he's able to cover more, running backs out of the backfield and all of that. And so I expect that. But, for him, to continue to be successful, he needs to fill the holes and make more consistent tackles, I would say. I enjoy watching Josh Bynes in a position as well, in those middle linebacker positions, because Josh is more consistent. He might not bring as much speed to the table as Patrick Queen does, but Josh is more consistent when it comes to the tackling ability. And so that's what I would look for. Hopefully Patrick Queen shows us this game that he's able to, make more plays in the backfield, with Max, and fill a hole on the running game. And for the next question, what's the next question?
So the second question was, how do you feel as far as NFL, the sport that we played? I know they do it. Yeah, I know they do it heavy in the NBA. And I know it's been like back and forth in the NBA about load management, holding your player off until the playoff. How do you feel about it as far as the NFL? Even though it's not being called or seen as load management, but from the eye of people who really watch it, it's kind of is when you look at the preseason. Because normally when we play preseason game, that first one is for you kind of like your starters, and you start pulling them back. And then when you get to like that third or fourth or the last preseason game, that's when your starters generally play like the first half, so they can get that cohesion and that gel. Not really worried about winning, but get that the gel. So when we roll over to the next week, so how do you feel about that? Because I'll take it back. Cause I know we Baltimore boys, but as like I said with the Ravens, Lamar and a lot of those guys didn't play the whole preseason, and then you got to come out in New York, in New Jersey on the road against the Jets. Is week one. You got the contract distractions. The most you got is, your 7-on-7s, probably do 1-on-1s, but you're not involved in the 1-on-1s at quarterback physically. And you got just your on-air routes. So how do you feel about teams doing that?
I think it's tough because we saw during COVID, like after the pandemic opened up a bit.
Right.
And we saw that the NFL started back up. We saw a lot of injuries because that was the year that all of the Ravens running backs got hurt.
Yeah, it was.
So, everybody was tearing an ACL, MCL. So we know how important it is to get that game experience or that game time, have that game speed, because
right.
You can't train. As much as you train for, you cannot train for a game experience.
Yeah.
So I don't really like when it comes to football. I think it's different with basketball because you could have game time speed when you practice and in practice, but you don't really have that experience when it comes to NFL. And so you got to hit. You got to I just think about when I train and when I get my body back into the swing of things and start to run routes.
Right.
I was sore from running routes because you never know, like when you're running routes and you planting and cutting and then you're twisting and turning your body. Like your body has to get used to like all of that twisting and turning and cutting, planting keys, all of that, and then on top of that, your body has to get used to putting on a helmet and slamming into another human being.
Right. Yeah.
And so, there's really no load management when it comes to the NFL because you think about it, we don't have. What's good about football is we are playing all year long.
Yeah.
And so basketball, you need load management because these guys, they got the best NBA season, and some of them are going out overseas to play. They playing in these exhibition leagues. Then they playing on the summer. Like it's basketball. You see, even at a young age, they playing in AAU. Then they got their team. All of that type of stuff. So. Trey said it too. Like, a lot of guys are doing. That's why guys are doing the load management. It's because nobody wants to get hurt out there. They see everybody's having these ACL tears and all of that, and so that's something that does change. Trey made a great point. The guaranteed money for NFL players needs to change because I remember when Earl Thomas, he was playing for the Seahawks, and he was coming up on his contract year, and it was a big thing about whether or not he was going to play or not, and he took the chance and said, okay, I'm gonna bite the bullet and go ahead and play. And remember, that's when he got hurt, and he put up his middle finger to the Seahawks. They wanted him to play, but then he tore his ACL or something like that. He got injured, and then that's how he ended up with the Ravens the next year. But just think about that and get guaranteed. So guys have to make sure that they're gonna be good.
Right.
In the NBA, you get your money guaranteed. NFL is not think about Lamar Jackson's situation. They offered him 150 or 290 million, close to 290, and then 130 was guaranteed. 130, you are offering me almost 290, but only 130 of that is guaranteed. that you have on a contract.
Right.
So I gotta earn that. I gotta earn 160 mil by how many passes I complete, how many touchdowns I throw. If I earn an MVP, if I make the Pro Bowl, like I gotta earn this with the team you put around me.
Right.
With no offensive, they picked up Kenyon Drake.
Yeah.
I don't even know what he did before he came to the Ravens. They picked up no receivers.
Yep.
Did they pick up any?
No, only one. No. They didn't pick up any receivers. They had the same guys. They let some go. You know what I mean? They let I forgot the young kid. They let go all on the off season. I think to clear money room, but they let one or two receivers go. They stayed with the same guys they had. They got some young guys. They added another tight end and Likely that they had drafted. Like you said, Kenyon Drake. Because when I was watching the game, I was like, Drake. That name sound familiar. Then me and my brother like, yeah, that's the one. I said, oh, the one from the Dolphins. I said, like you said, where have you been? You got Mike Davis at the running back. They still got Hill there at running back. But yeah, like you said, like the whole question, and I put that question on my Facebook Live. I'm still going live with Will Lamar stay with the Ravens. And like Trey said, and you said, as far as the guaranteed money, the dude became the NFL MVP after his third season. You know, broke all kinds of.
We saw last year when Lamar put the team literally on his back, bro.
Which one you talking about? The Chiefs game or the Colts game?
Every game. And then he went, I felt bad for the brother. That's why I became a fan. I was like, yo, this brother is really open down. Like, but 8-3 before he goes out. And then they don't win a game after that.
Yeah.
And then fans got the nerve. Baltimore fans, bro. I'm proud to be from Baltimore, but these folks, these fans, bro.
Right.
They're talking about, oh yeah, we'll take the backup, Huntley. You know, we don't want to pay Lamar.
What are you talking? Like, do you know what this dude did?
Do you understand how good Lamar Jackson is? He was the NFL MVP.
His third year.
He took the playoffs every year. He's been on the team.
Yeah.
And then on top, he went out last year, and y'all didn't win a game.
Yeah. And broke passing records each game last year. Because that, a couple of games he threw for over 400 yards. He broke the only player in some games. We kept hitting the only player in this game. The only player in this game broke Mike Vick's rushing record. And this is, like you said, with subpar people around him, even with a subpar, and we didn't say it, but with a subpar offensive scheme of having a 2 wide receiver combo to go against 8 guys in coverage, 6 guys in coverage, 7 guys in coverage. And you're running a hook in a corner with the tight end, and you got 3 guys. You got a corner on the outside, linebacker inside, safety over top, and forcing it in, and you putting Andrews out there to get smacked, and he got to hold the ball, he got to run, and like you said, they put a spy on him, and they don't want to pay him. And again, if you look across the board, and Kyler Murray get $230, $240 million, and he can't even read the defense. So watching the game against the Chiefs last week, they had blitz coming off the edge. They had the wide receiver tight, so that side would have been the hot side. He didn't even call an audible to the receiver side that didn't have the blitz. He wound up holding the ball and taking a sack, and that's like cardinal sin number 1 as an NFL quarterback. They say that in high school you do not take a sack, and he takes a sack.
It's hot right in front of you. You have a hot route that you need to throw. But you know what's crazy? Peyton Manning and Tom Brady recently talked about this. I think it was maybe a year or two ago. They talked about the lack of studying that NFL quarterbacks do nowadays, and they're not able to read NFL defenses. And so I think about a lot of the QBs now that's playing in the league. They have the inability. They don't have the ability to read defenses as much as a Tom Brady, an Aaron Rodgers.
All right, y'all. So we got cut off, but I'm gonna get Joel back in here on the Instagram, and we was having a definitely a great story, a great conversation with former NFL player Joel Gamble, just talking the Ravens, talking Lamar, talking just the nature of the game, of football and Lamar Jackson, and how he's really not getting the respect that he deserves. So I'm gonna get Joel back in here. We're gonna start this thing again. All right, y'all. Sorry, we got cut short. They cut me off. ID cut me off, but I'm back. Hey, Joel, if you here, jump back on with me, man, so we can finish that point. But yeah, Joel made some great points. Trey made some great points too. Trey Biz on IG. Trey made some great points too. Of how Lamar is not getting the respect he deserves, and just in general of how a lot of quarterbacks don't have to. They're not don't have to, but they're not reading the defenses or even watching film. I think a lot of times, a lot of coaches are kind of not handicapping, but they're giving a little bit here and there, just giving you a one go read on your play calling. And again, I follow Coach Brown, that was the head coach at ICC, Independent College in Kansas. And, he dissected, if you see him, go on and watch him on TikTok. And he dissected what's the name's play, Kyler Murray's play from last week against the Chiefs, where they had a blitz coming. The Chiefs had a blitz coming from the outside. Hold on, I'm trying to invite Joel back in. And he had a blitz from the outside coming in. And all right, we got Joel back in. That Kyler Murray had a blitz coming from his right side, his throwing arm side, and he clearly could see the blitz. So what Coach Brown, again, Joel was giving them a wrap up on Facebook Live of what you said about quarterbacks not really reading, and sometimes coaches dumbing down their reads. But Coach Brown, I follow him on TikTok, where he dissected that play with Kyler Murray. That if you have a blitz coming from your right side, which will be your hot side, if the hot's not there anymore, you have to make an audible and go left. And he said the same thing you said, Coach Jason Brown, that you could tell this dude get paid all this money and he's not reading film, because he would have made an easy call, called out the blitz, and changed his hot to go to the other side. He didn't. He wound up taking a sack. And like what Joe said, to Joe's point, that are they with the I gotta win now culture, and with NFL and sports being changed over from the game of the sport to a marketing thing, like a big show, because they want to see throws, is the game being dumbed down to one read. If you don't get it, then you got to make something happen. And again, that goes to Joel's point of quarterbacks not reading and not watching film like the Peyton Mannings, the Tom Brady's, even the Lamar, because we can say what we want. Lamar reads the coverages, but if he don't got nothing, ain't nothing to read.
Right. And I think Lamar can do a better job too. But
Shelly, what's up, my guy? I was saying what's up to Shelly. Just send a shout out to me and you on there, Shelly. Mr. Stay Low.
I see you out there, man. So Tom Brady and Peyton, what they were saying is, because they were talking about the new rules in the NFL and how, now the rules are set that receivers, if they don't have to take hits anymore.
Right.
So back in the day, the receivers would have had to take hits if you catching the ball. I mean, that's what attracted me to the game, seeing the hits. Seeing the hard hits come on Madden, when Madden game would start, they would do all the hard hits.
Yeah.
Steve Atwood, Leroy Butler, and all them old school dudes like coming downhill and just hitting the mess out of the receiver and drawing the ball, loose. But now with the rules, they want the offense to score more points. So with the rules, they put in place that you can't hit the receiver. It's the defenseless receiver. So Tom Brady
Yeah.
incoming tackle
Yeah.
guy. But when they started playing, they had to study so much to make sure that their receivers, they don't throw their receivers into a zone and a safety is sitting. Because back then, if you throw into where the safety is sitting, a Troy Polamalu, a Ed Reed, a Bronson Dawkins, they would take your head off.
Yep.
And then you won't have a receiver. And so
That's
that's
true.
why they was quarterbacks these days, they don't study as much because
Right.
with schools, they don't really have to. Like,
Yeah.
they can just guy and the DB can't hit them, because of the new rules.
Right.
But that's what makes, that's what separates Aaron Rodgers, Tom Brady, Peyton Manning's not playing anymore, but Aaron Rodgers and Tom Brady specifically, they study the defenses and they know, like you said, able to read the hots. They're able. Sometimes you can't make a long throw. Sometimes you gotta hit that 3-4 yard, hot route. That running back that's dumbing down. Sometimes you gotta take that.
Yeah.
And then you see Tom Brady does that often. He'll take a hot ride. That's what when he was playing with the Patriots. And Wes Walker a living off of burning those routes.
Yep,
And,
Amendola, all of them guys.
You couldn't blitz Tom Brady.
Nah.
If you blitz, they're gonna make you pay.
Yep.
And that's what I take to that point. And Shelley said it that the game is getting watered down, and it is. And I look at last Thursday, or 2 Thursdays ago, the first Thursday, the Bills and the Rams, and when you said that you couldn't blitz them, if you notice when on the course of that game, that Bills versus the Rams game, that when Aaron Donald was getting penetration, Josh Allen did just like that. He went from sitting back on a 5-step drop to catching and ripping short things to Stephon Diggs, and next thing you know, he caught Jalen Ramsey peeking in the backfield and throws a bomb. So in order to equalize, an equalizer like an Aaron Donald, if you're not going to double team him, you got to get the ball out your hand fast so he can't get back there. I think that was one of the issues with Matthew Stafford and the Rams. You got a guy like Von Miller, and I don't care what nobody say, they keep saying, this dude getting he this and that. Man, this dude had 2 sacks that game and coming off the edge like a murderer, and he makes his defensive line that much better because he got a D-line for the Bills, some sacks as well. But like you said, not having to really read, really watch film and break it down because the rules are favorable for the pass catcher and the pass thrower. It kind of takes off those guys like Fitzpatrick with the Steelers. You know what I mean? He's a Minka, he comes downhill, but that pulls a guy like him up because he going in. Am I going to get fined? Am I going to get a warning for aggressive hitting? So again,
and I hate that I was shocked. We both are offensive players, but what drew me to the game is the hits and aggressiveness of football.
Right.
So something to change the rules, and I know that. Ultimately, you want to protect the players. You want to make sure that the concussion settlement.
Oh yeah.
Stuff and all. I still have to go get my brain checked. Personally. So I realize the after effects of playing the sport that we play. But I just know that watching it now in comparison when I was growing up and watching all the quarterbacks. We came up in an era where the quarterbacks were, they were lethal. Like all of them knew that. I mean, Brett Favre was like the gunslinger. He was the one that was and he was the one that was, that was just throwing it wherever. But you had Dan Marino, Joe Montana, Randall Cunningham, you had all
John Elway, Warren Moon, Drew Bledsoe.
All these quarterbacks back then and receivers. And so, back then they had to actually read and know the defenses because you also not only did you have those receivers, you had all of those DBs back there, Rod Woodson, Deion Sanders, but you all know the defense. And I think the rules have changed it and made it easier, like you said. That's one of the reasons why Tom Brady can play at 45.
Oh yeah.
It's so easy for him now
Yeah.
You're like, oh, you ain't going to hit my receiver?
Yeah,
Like,
so I'm gonna get it in there, and then if you do hit my receiver, I'm gonna come low with my tight end. I think other than the Ravens, Tom Brady's starting to, he not started, but he kind of made the tight end position a main necessity because for like a while, tight ends were only used in the blocking game, and I said it like years ago that you give me a solid O line, solid D line, and a solid tight end. You can build around that because you got hundreds of wide receivers, and I was a wide receiver, and I still say that you got hundreds of wide receivers, but it's very rare to find a tight end that can not only block, but that can also run through secondary coverage, especially when you got nickel coverage and stuff like that. And you're starting to see that now that tight ends are becoming a dime a dozen. I take it back to college. Number 0 for UGA. Man, dude, like 6'7", 6'8", and like watch him against Oregon catch the ball and hurdle a dude. To be that big, to be able to move like that, man, that's a cheat code. You know what I mean? And that's why.
He not the only tight end. They got the Georgia got the best college player in the nation in Bowers.
Yeah, and
tight end.
Right, and you got the other dude, the number 0 is the young dude, and somebody putting there, Heath Miller. Shout out to Heath Miller. That's my teammate at UVA. And the crazy thing about Heath Miller, if you never follow him, Heath was a quarterback. Yeah, he was a quarterback. Yeah, he was a quarterback at UVA his freshman year. We had our lockers was next to each other, and you when you in college, if you don't play right away, you go on practice squad. And that's how he developed, became a tight end, all pro tight end, and probably will be a Hall of Fame tight end. But like a Heath Miller, people that can get open like that, we saw a glimpse of it with like your Shannon Sharp. And I go back to the Lamar Jackson thing, I watched Shannon Sharp, me and you both like Shannon, and he made a good point with his own brother Sterling Sharp. And we forget about how much of a dog Sterling Sharp was. He held out, like you said about, the Earl Thomas thing. He held out to get his contract because they wasn't trying to give him his money. And he said, well, I left the facility. He said, my brother left the facility. I'm not playing. He said they worked out a deal. And so happened the next game, he got that injury that messed up his neck and he left. And you remember back then when Sterling Sharp played, they wasn't getting those huge contracts like these guys getting now. And like Trey said, the guaranteed money, that guaranteed money come with clauses. Like even with the money that Kyler Murray got, I think he have a clause with making sure he watched film. So they putting stuff in like you're a kid, like you're a toddler that you got to put in.
So if they so like you got situations where you get extra money if you make it to the Pro Bowl. You get extra money if you're like top 10.
Yep.
And quarterback rating and passing yards, you get all of it's like that's why I was saying it's not fair for them to incentivize all of Lamar Jackson's money when they don't even have no pieces around his brother.
Right.
Like, so you expect him to hold down the fort for the Ravens by himself, but then you got all these incentives that you dangling in front of him. So basically you're not willing to pay him. Like you basically aren't you aren't rewarding what he's provided to your team thus far. Like if you think about it, Lamar Jackson has brought an excitement to the Baltimore Ravens that you haven't seen, in years.
Yeah.
You got fans, that are watching the Ravens now that weren't even fans of the Ravens. And so you got people that's going to the games. Lamar Jackson is putting the butts in the seats.
Yeah, I'll give you one. I'll give you another one. Before the Jets game, the pitcher, I think it's for the Dodgers. I forgot his last. Yeah, they had the Lamar Jackson jersey on. Yeah, so that's a statement. That's a rock star in a sense. And like you said, for people that don't understand, and again, I'm talking with Joe Gamble, who jumped in on my IG live. Baltimore kid, born and raised, Carver High School, Shippensburg, former NFL player, philanthropist, huge community guy. and also work with Chase Bank in downtown Baltimore with their community sector to join those forces. A lot of people don't understand the contract, so when they hear, oh, he turned down $290 million, only they see is a figure. They don't really understand how a lot of those figures work. Like I said, even with Kyler Murray, he has a clause in his contract for that $200 million that he has to watch film to make sure he understands the game in order to win. And just to say, like, if you have to do that to your NFL player, something is wrong there. If I got to put in a contract in order for you to get this money, you got to watch film. That's to me, that's bad, and that's just my thoughts. This is my podcast, so if you don't like it, I don't care. It's bad. But do you think about the incentives, like Joe said? A lot of stuff is built around all that money. You know, like he said, you got to be top 10 this. You got to be all pro. The dude made MVP. He like killed the votes with MVP after his third year when he was told, oh, he can't do this, he can't do that, you know, he can't do it like Flacco. He did that in killing records, so his thing put in. And I take it back to a movie, Joe, of Any Given Sunday when LT played that game. In order to get $1 million, he had to get that one more tackle, and he almost risked his life for that $1 million to get a tackle. So that's what's on the line when you see a lot of these big contracts. Even Deshaun Watson's contract, he's not going to see none of that money unless he can play next year. So they built it around, he got 230 guaranteed, but he don't see none of that unless he can play next year, which would be his second season with the Browns. He will see that money. So it's always stipulation when you see this huge amount of money that's being thrown out. And Lamar Jackson, again, like I mentioned earlier, he just knew his worth. The same way Shannon Sharp said his brother Sterling knew his worth and value, that I'm not playing for you, and like Joe said, putting our body on the line unless you give me something. So again, we gotta definitely open our eyes, and I've definitely been on the research trail of making sure I research stuff before I put out there as well, that we gotta know what these guys go through, because their contracts in the NFL not guaranteed like an NBA and MLB, pool holes and them getting like $300-400 million over 12 years, but that's guaranteed. That's guaranteed money, you know what I mean? So, but yeah, man, that's definitely, I appreciate you jumping on with me, Joe, this morning. Everybody tuning in. I switched it up, did just a recap of college football, of the scores and everything, and what we're seeing. I think the next couple of weeks we're gonna see college start to get into their conferences. Just see how everything go. My last thing before we close out, Joe, I gotta ask you. It's in the workings, them expanding from a 4-team playoff to a 12-team playoff in the college. What you think?
That might be a good idea, because a lot of times you find, obviously in college, it's like you want it done.
Right.
A lot of times we find that some of these schools get in and they're playing against, we got like the number 1 and 2, either 3 and 4 seed.
Right.
But like have a seed that was undefeated that don't even get an opportunity to play.
Right.
And we know like, if they went up against Alabama, they would whip them.
Right.
It just gives opportunity for some of these other teams that may go undefeated, that don't get a shot because Alabama starts, number 1 in the country every year.
Right.
And they basically, essentially, they got to lose in order to give any other teams a shot at even entering into the playoff. So that would be I think that would be a good idea, because in college, like I said, it's one and done anyway. So,
Yeah.
Why not give an opportunity for more schools to get into the pool? We've seen a lot of times that, there's schools that end up in a bowl that they don't even belong in.
Yeah.
They were undefeated, but they in a conference that's not a huge conference,
Right.
and you got one team that's in the championship that got like 1 loss or 2 losses.
Right.
And, they was in the SEC. They still get that opportunity. So
Yeah.
it's great to see more teams in the college playoffs.
Yeah, and I agree. I agree with that as well, because I felt like last year with how it rolled out, and I was definitely super happy that UGA got they won a national championship in Kirby got that monkey off his back, like Steve Young got that monkey off his back when he won his first Super Bowl. The 49ers were beating his mentors, Saban. I do find it a lot of times, especially with how they got the college board put these teams in, and a lot of times we see it and we know, if you really follow it close, a lot of teams get in because of who they can bring to the stadiums. You know, at the end of the day, everything is built around the money. Who's going to have the most views, the most watch? Who's going to bring the most people with them when they come in? And we know your Alabamas, your Georgias, your Notre Dames, which I don't know why they keep getting in there. Me and you talked about this on Twitter. Right. Man, they haven't been.
Think about what Deion's doing with JSU at Jackson State University.
Yeah.
Deion's changing the whole outlook of
HBCU.
blue chippers going to HBCUs. I think it's wonderful what he's doing with just giving historically black colleges an opportunity to start earning money from off of sports because if you think about it. But the NBA is 70 to 80% black.
Yeah.
NFL is around 60 or so.
Yeah.
You know, so all of us that are top-notch athletes are black, and some guys refuse to go to HBCUs because they might not have the opportunity.
Yeah.
And the NIL, so the NIL contracts now, where you can get sponsorships and all of that.
Yeah.
That kind of the playing field because now guys can take care of their family.
Yeah.
They can get pocket and then they can still go to a Morgan State where, it's an HBCU.
Yeah.
You can connect more with the professors. You feel more at home. And on top of that, you can still get exposure because Deion we need more like that. More of that. Like Eddie George up in Tennessee State.
Yeah.
Guys, I really shout out to Deion Sanders, man. He's definitely on some things to change the outlook of college football for sure.
Yeah, Coach Prime, as he like to be called. I like from the beginning, and just to finish, with the playoff thing of putting, every year we see a Notre Dame in, and they don't hold out. And I definitely like that 12 team because, like you said, it allow other teams that are playing their butts off to get in and to move forward to the HBCUs and Coach Prime, as he like to self-call. I had liked last year when he called that reporter out. You call me Coach Prime. You call Nick Saban Coach Saban, right? Call me Coach Prime. I'm a coach. I like that, kicking the door in, you're going to respect us. I like the fact that what he did and what he did and what he's doing down there at Jackson State is, like you said, is allowing young men to go to HBCUs and be comfortable. In which, like you said, we can get more guys in the head coach position at HBCUs, but he also allowed airtime. So by Jackson State getting on TV, we starting to see more other HBCUs get on TV, even though, some of them, they're playing the teams like your Miamis and your UNCs, but they're getting on television. And my good friend, the White Vic, has said it, within the state of Virginia, a lot of those teams like UVA, Virginia Tech, they play like the ODUs and the Richmond. Why not allow some of the in-state HBCUs to play in Norfolk States to play against Virginia Tech or UVA, get that airtime as well? I think that
Deion said that he even mentioned that the differences right now between the HBCUs and these PWIs is the interior line, and so until the offense and defensive line, because Deion said he's not going to play at Alabama until he's about a year or two until his interior line is good. We already know the skill positions. Skill positions are straight. But we need offensive linemen and defensive linemen to start coming to the HBCUs. Because then at that point in time, then the tides will change and we'll be able to compete with Alabama and all of that because the blue chip defensive linemen are coming to our schools. And he said until then, he was like, you ain't gonna catch me on TV playing against Alabama and just for a check and embarrassing our kids.
And get beat up. And you had some teams that had like small success against these big schools that are small schools. You know, I live nearby Mercer. I posted a picture yesterday. I was at Mercer University. They're a Division I private school, a small one. They played Auburn this year. They played Alabama last year, and they ran with Alabama until after the first half. And we take it back to the year that, you know, Towson State went to the national championship in their division, and they gave LSU a run. So like you said, once we start getting that in the HBCU of those our big guys, that's where it's made at. And everybody think a lot of teams are made through the quarterback, and it's really not. Like Dion said, if you don't have those dogs up front on the O line and D line, you can cancel Christmas because you ain't gonna get nothing.
Georgia dominated because of their D line. You had the boy George Davis that's with the Eagles now. Who is he? 6'8", 300-some pounds.
He can run like a linebacker.
And then could you imagine Hampton, Oregon State going against a dude 6'8",
right,
320 pounds on the defensive line? There's no competition there. So until our interior line is solid, then you know. But Deion's on the right path, man.
Oh yeah.
Kudos to him because he's doing what a lot of folks talked about doing for years.
Yeah.
But he turned some heads because now Nick Saban is like, oh, boy, the dang rules on him.
He started whining a little bit. He started whining and crying.
Doing something right when they start talking about the rules, like, oh, I don't know about this.
Right.
This ain't fair. Like, what?
What you talking about ain't fair? What? You know what I mean? And you're absolutely right. You know, when you got, but the thing is that, like the Nick Sabans and coaches like that got to understand, a lot of our kids, our black and brown kids, they want to see a coach like a Deion who, you know, put his money where his mouth is, and he uses his stardom and his celebrity status and what he did in the football game to get that stuff to come to Jackson. Like you said, why can't Ray and them have their last name on their jersey? So he went out and got it. They got helmet options. They got jersey options. They upgraded their facilities. I watched the video and you hear one of the guys like, man, we got a urinal. So for a college athlete to be excited about having a urinal in their practice, that practice locker room, that says a lot. You know what I mean? And like you said, it feels like throwing crumbs when these teams got to go play these teams and get $1.5 million. And I shout out Georgia Southern and my boy Sam Zanders, who did assistant strength coach there. They got paid $1.5 million to go play Nebraska, and they wound up beating Nebraska. So when you got a team like Georgia Southern, like you said, Jackson State, FAMU, those type of teams going to play these big schools, and okay, we'll throw you $1.5 million. They see that with a gift from an alumni, and then you put the cherry on top by beating them. I like seeing that stuff. And like you said, Deion definitely got on the right track because everywhere he goes, it's going to be played or he's going to make his voice heard. Why can't we play on a big kickoff classic? Like he said, the game that, they just had against FAMU, and they played down in Miami, and he was like, why would we play in the NFL stadium? Because I know we're not going to pack it out. I don't want to play where the stands are empty, but why can't we get a kickoff classic? So, with him, keep building up, and they getting these guys in the transfer portal and the way they play for him, that's what drives, coaching on all levels when the kids want to play for you. So I'm definitely looking forward to seeing what HBCUs have coming over the years, because now with him setting that standard, a lot of these HBCUs going to have to up their game with their facilities, and that's the way you get, especially the generation now, because they're on the uniforms, the helmets, and what I got, they're going to have to up their game, and it's coming along, and it's coming around a couple of years too late, but I still take it. But I'm glad Deion did, like you said, get in it. I know Eddie George, he's not vocal like a Deion, but his presence there in Tennessee State, where he played for the Tennessee Titans, definitely gonna have to carry some weight, because they played with Eastern Washington in their first game. So I believe he'll start getting some recruits in there. We're gonna start hearing from, South Carolina State beat Jackson, but prior to, again, like you said, Deion getting to Jackson State, nobody really heard about South Carolina State unless you were in that HBCU kind of like lane of knowing what's going on. You know what I mean? But he did that. He definitely opened that door up to allow for that stuff to happen. But they'll get those players, like you said, once they start upgrading as well. And Deion did that. And not only, he did it in a big way for those kids. Like you said, I'm advocating for these kids that had their last name on their jersey, so when their parents come, they can see it. Brand new facility that's being built over there, indoor facility, practice amenities and stuff like that. Is definitely huge, real big, huge. But again, y'all.
The kids to see a positive black man. I mean, I think about, Deion, he's always been outspoken.
Yeah.
But he's always been outspoken, and he's always been on point with what he says for real. Like,
yeah.
I mean, even playing, he was outspoken, but he put his money where his mouth was.
Yep.
Like, he performed on the field. But,
yep.
Kids to see a black man that's going to stand up for them.
Yeah.
He was able to get that recruit from Florida State because you just imagine as a black kid, knowing that you got a black man that played in the league that was a Pro Hall of Famer, like top-notch Hall of Fame.
Yeah.
He's the reason I played football to begin with.
Yeah.
His position, but he's the reason why I even wanted to play football, and just to see him standing up for us.
Yeah.
Culture, our community, and
yep.
for kids being able to go and play for him, and be mentored by him, and
yeah.
all of that. I mean, a lot of these coaches are going to lose to that. Like,
oh yeah, automatic.
All he can do is throw money at it. Like,
yeah.
you can't compare, being like that type of mentor
yeah.
to a black kid out the hood.
Yeah.
Like, Deion been there. He's gone through it. And then on top of that, he was a player.
Yeah.
And that player in his position for years. You know what I mean? So,
yeah.
And then he gonna always keep it real with you, like he gonna say, and then he also ain't gonna let none of these other folks disrespect us as a community. And so,
right.
You can't, like these predominantly white institutions can't, they can't compete with that. So
yeah, and
you gonna see, like the more as you gonna see as Deion progresses and Jackson State progresses successfully, you gonna see that folks are going. He's going to have to go through some adversity, unfortunately, because they're not going to be cool with that.
Oh yeah, they not at all. And it I think with that saying of it's all fun and games until a rabbit has a gun. So with it switching roles, where these Power 5 schools, and like he said it after that, the Nick Saban comment on that conference that he had. Power 5 schools been doing it for years. We've seen stories on ESPN of guys getting bags of money to come to that school, or pulling major recruits from certain areas. So Power 5 schools been doing it for years, but it's different when it changes. And like you said, we're reading that tweet Travis Hunter said, and you was talking about Travis Hunter. He said like $1 million. He's like, where $1 million at? And my mom's still living with my 3 brothers and sisters in a 3-bedroom house. So like, I don't got $1 million, but like you said, he decided to leave, not go to Florida State, which is a huge program that's been on the map for years, to go to HBCU of really putting a risk, and a lot of people see that as a risk to go there. And the thing that stuck out to me with his situation, right before his first game, he cried on Coach Sanders on Deion's shoulder, and he was so excited to play for him. And like you said, you don't get that unless you build a connection, you build a bond. Because like Deion said, a lot of us, we say, whether we philanthropists, community guys, or even coaches, we want to see our guys excel more than just on the football field because we've been through it, and we want to see it excel more. So for him to take that jump to go there, and he's going to have crazy NIL deals just because of who he was and how he played down here in Georgia in high school. And definitely, like you said, he's playing a position his head coach like just tormented receivers in throughout his career. So he's giving him that extra boost. But not only is he doing it for his guys, he's been a voice for all of HBCUs across the globe when it comes to that. And we definitely will see a change. I'm definitely like seeing that, again, that HBCUs, no matter their name, they're starting to get going up the steps a little bit to try to get up there. I even like seeing the small colleges who normally will miss out on big recruits. A lot of these recruits are going to these small colleges because, for one, I'm going to play right away. They probably like that small college feel where they don't have all that pressure coming down on them of a big school that is football, basketball, baseball, 24/7. I can't be, again, if you think about it, you're still 18, you're still a kid. No matter if the law says you're an adult, you're still a kid. I can't be a kid because I'm trapped in a zone where I gotta play. And a lot of them want to go to colleges where they can play because if they do make it pro, that's when that business side kick in. Childhood is out the window. Now you just zone in on this one thing. But yeah, man, again, I appreciate you jumping on, man. Man, we turned this thing in from like a 30-minute, 40-minute to my timer on Facebook Live was an hour, 36 minutes. And we had to re-jumpstart the IG Live. You know, definitely salute to everybody that jumped on board. Trey, my uncle Bo, Mike Patton. Definitely follow Mike Patton on Twitter. With his AFC South, I've been on his show, and he's having like some huge guys on there. Definitely follow Joel on Twitter, the NFL tight end, Joel Gamble on Instagram. No, I ain't gonna do it, Joe. You do it. Tell people where they can find you, man.
No doubt. NFL TV on Twitter, on Instagram. You can find me Joel_Gamble. And yeah, man, you know, Google everything we doing in the community. Like Tavon said before we got into it, you know, we came together to create our own children's comic book series, the Justice Duo. So look out for the second edition of that, and you know, the cartoon with PBS Kids to come, and a couple other things too. So super excited about that. But yeah, Tavon, thanks. I saw you on.
Yeah, man. Yeah, man. Yeah, I appreciate it, man. And again, you know, shout out to my sponsor, my personal sponsor, Tavon's Beard Butter. Go check it out, Tavon's Beard Butter, Instagram. Joe's like a definitely valued customer of my beard butter. But you can follow me, Tavon Mason, on Facebook, Mr_T Mason on Instagram, T Mason 18 on Twitter, and definitely check out my YouTube page. I post videos on there. My podcast will be coming soon. Definitely have Joel on again. I have it now, Sports Talk with former New York Jet Tavon Mason. I'm gonna change that name because I want to open the floor to more the sports, but dive deeper into what sports bring to the table and how sports plays a role on all levels. And we saw that today with what Joel brought up with HBCUs, you know, black coaches, even down to the black athlete. So that's going to be coming in October. I'm going to definitely do that. Looking forward to doing that. But again, happy Sunday to everybody. 11:52 is almost 1 hour away from kickoff. Like I said, me and Joel said, I'm definitely looking forward to seeing how this Dolphins Ravens game going to be. And you know, salute to everybody. Y'all have a great work week that's coming up. And again, man, y'all just do your best to be your best. Don't do it for nobody else. Do it for yourself. And Joel, just to end off, if we got anybody listening, whether adult, I know me and you, we always talk to the kids all the time. But you know, even our adults, you know, any words of wisdom or any motivation to anybody, adults, kids out there that might be going through something, they're trying to jumpstart something and they don't know where to go at. Any words of wisdom to lead for them?
Yeah, no doubt. So, you know, I always talk about like how hungry I was when I was trying to go for my goals. And so, when it comes to your goals and your dreams out there, make sure you don't let anybody deter you from your dreams. Mm-hmm. Make sure you are putting 100% into it. When I say 100% effort, like give your all into whatever it is that you're trying to accomplish, and make sure nothing gets in the way of that. You know, be sure that you're going to have a work out there that's going to try to trip you up, because there's nobody that's successful that didn't have adversity along the way. So you're not going to have an easy road for something that you're trying to reach, but always remember your end goal, and just keep that effort, that same intensity, that same focus when you're trying to reach your goal, and you'll succeed. So, hey man, salute to you, brother.
Peace, brother. All right, man. Peace. All right, y'all. Facebook Live. I just wrapped it up on my Instagram. I got everything working over here. So just wrapped it up again with former NFL player Joel Gamble with the Titans, Browns, and the Eagles. Joel's success story: didn't get a full scholarship to Shippensburg, got partial. Wasn't drafted just like me. I was a free agent with the New York Jets, and got to play on 3 major teams with the Browns, who've been around for years, the Eagles, with the Titans, formerly the Houston Oilers, and we just talked about everything. So again, like I said, my podcast is going to come in October. I'm going to start setting that up this week. But again, great college wrap up. Salute again to my Wahoos getting that W. Shout out again to Appalachian State for that big win, that tip drill. I need a tip drill. So y'all have a great Sunday. And I like to say all the time, peace.